Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Premier League presentation. We're going to be bringing you guys a game between Virtus Pro and Kaipi Gaming. Going to be a best-of-one series here to kick off the Premier League Season 5. It's been a little while since I've been on the microphone for TPL, but now happy to be able to jump back on into it and bring you guys some awesome Dota. That's the plan for today. We have a full tournament packed out for you guys. I think it's going to be like 9 hours straight of Dota. It's just going to be ridiculous what we are able to come out with. And yeah, getting on in, we're loading on into the game as we speak, and it's going to be an interesting series between these two teams. Kaipi, kind of one of those up-and-coming teams. Their roster has been more solidified over the past month or so. Unfortunately, didn't get into those Western qualifiers to kind of show themselves there, but they have a lot to prove, and they're going to be going up against Virtus Pro here. So finally loading on into the draft. Jumping on over here, once again, I am Blaze. Joining me, although not by video, but at least by audio here, is Triumph of Man. How's it going, man?
Oh, it's pretty good. Unfortunately, I don't have a camera available tonight. We'll be back for next week's Cup. And whoa, we got some quick bans there. Wisp being banned along with a Batrider. Burion also being banned up by Virtus Pro as well as the Keeper. Interesting the fact that they banned out the Nature's Prophet because they actually play a hell of a lot of Furion. I was actually really expecting them to pick that up. However, you know what, Blaze? I'm kind of expecting... There we go. Bane was going to... I was going to say we have a pretty much 100% chance of Bane being picked tonight because both these teams grab it up like his candy. They love it. They love their Bane, both of these teams. So here we go.
Absolutely. I mean, the common first pick availability right here for Kaipi is picking up the Bane, not only to synergize well with the Keeper Life, they can get their hands on that, but also to counteract this Lone Druid here. The Nightmare is so good to deal with an offlane Lone Druid and make sure he cannot manipulate the creep aggro with his Spirit Bear. So that's going to be their main intention, is to lock things down with Enfeeble and Fiend's Grip and just get a lot of great disables to kind of screw the opposition over. And that negates a lot of high presence carries like the Lifestealer, which is still on the board and might be picked up from Virtus Pro in that second phase. So we'll see what they follow it up with here, if they're actually going to build up their tri lane a little bit more extensively with something that can follow up on the Bane, like a Lina or a Leshrac, or if they're just kind of going to go with what they want to expand out their lanes and kind of get a more well-rounded draft with this Darkseer now to go on the off lane.
Yeah, well, Kaipi, they tend to play a sort of a fairly slow lineup. They really do like their right-click damage late-game heroes. It's common to see stuff like Cancer Lancer, Anti-Mage, or Void. They really want to have one of those really solid carries for the late game, whereas Virtus Pro, on the other hand, they're very aggressive. They like to fight, they like to push. They really like to get active. They don't like to sit back and sort of just wait the game out. So we've already got the Lone Druid there from Virtus Pro. We'll see what else they're going to pick up here, but I do expect that they're going to try and solidify their push elements. And speaking of heroes who can control the Lone Druid, stuff we've actually been seeing recently has been the Razor pickups, although because of the static link of the bear is really, really irritating to have to deal with that, and it gives them tons and tons of damage. That said, though, I don't really think Kaipi are going to find that much room to work, and I don't think they'll try and switch up their draft that much, because I don't think it's a hero that they've experimented with all that much, Blaze.
So what do you think about Virtus Pro's next pickups? I mean, they have a kind of a whole world open to them. The heroes like Magnus is something they've played quite a bit for TMW, and they could control the mid lane pretty well with that, but there's still a lot of counter picks against the Magnus, like the Puck or the Queen of Pain. What do you think would be the best way for Virtus Pro to kind of lay the groundwork for their draft right here?
I think they want to get... I think they could go for something like a Magnus, definitely possible. I mean, Magnus is very flexible at the same time, but it looks like they're just going to grab a Rubik. And I do like the Rubik pick because it's really, really good against the Bane. It's like picking it up against the Enigma. It's pretty much a really big guaranteed disable that you can steal. It's a very, very fantastic thing. And then we've also got the Clockwork being picked as well. So they've got lots of like really gank-happy heroes here. We've got the Clockwork and push-happy as well. We've got the Lone Druid as well. So like I said, Virtus Pro, they're going to go for that really aggressive early mid game, and they're going to have a very difficult... Kaipi is going to be in a lot of danger, I think. It's going to be difficult for them to defend against stuff like Clockwork. So I like the fact that they picked him up. The question is where they're going to put him, because Lone Druid is one of the heroes that's very flexible, can take a lot of different roles in different lanes, so it's very difficult to tell where Virtus Pro are going to stick this. I mean, Clockwork, we've seen him use as support roles, sort of supportive role, can even take the offlaner. You really feel like you can throw him in the middle with the cogs as well, because he can control, look after himself in that sort of situation. We see the bans there, Blaze. It looks like Virtus Pro are going to get rid of some of those big right-click late-game carries, the Anti-Mage as well as the Phantom Lancer banned out there.
Yeah, and a lot of core heroes actually being banned out. Weaver and Gyrocopter are very scalable and very farm-reliant as well, so a lot of intention out of that. Basically, that's going to be the main thing, is who's going to be picking that up there.
One second. Apparently, I cannot be heard in-game at the moment. Not sure what's going on there.
Okay. Hopefully you can figure that one out.
I'll let you continue on then while I try and fix that.
Yeah, what we're looking at here, I mean, the Rubik, the Clockwork will probably be a supportive combo, just setting up the telekinesis into the cogs or right next to it to get the knockback there. Either way, it's still going to be very, very effective, and they just kind of want to carry to synergize with that. I think Kaipi kind of have the upper hand when it comes down to 6 carries being banned out in the second banning stage, is the fact that Eternal Envy seems a lot more flexible of a carry player than Illidan. Like, he has so many different unorthodox heroes he likes to pick up in a competitive draft that it definitely, he doesn't feel nearly as penned in when you compare it to Illidan, who, you know, he has his top 3. And so, with the Gyrocopter being taken out, along with the Phantom Lancer Lifestealer, he does have less options available, and they don't even have that kind of unorthodox Outworld Devourer that they've run a couple of times previously. So, we'll see. But for right now, an interesting possibility for both lineups here is to pick up some carries that we usually don't get to see and see how effective they'll be. Maybe something like an Alchemist could be used to pretty great effect here if he can get a Black King bar up early enough to nullify the potential of Visage and Bane, that kind of thing. But yeah, still one way or another. I think that Virtus Pro have the most potential in the mid game based on Clockwork closing distance on Bane and kind of shutting down that Fiend's Grip. The big thing they're going to have to avoid, though, is those big Darkseer vacuums if Kaipi drafts up some more follow-up AoE. But for right now, Lina being the primary damage dealer in an AoE sense means she's probably going to be supporting with Rubik, leaving Clockwork for the mid lane, while Kaipi is going to pick up the Faceless Void for Eternal Envy.
Okay, I think that should be fixed now. I hope it's fixed now. Hopefully everybody can hear me now. But there we go. There's an Alchemist you were talking about, Blaze. They have decided to pick that on. So Virtus Pro, they've got a really, really scrappy lineup. In fact, I mean, they wanted to. Lina, Rubik, Alchemist, that's something they could send into an offensive tri lane if they want to try and shut down the Void's farm. Because they can if they can cripple Void's farm towards that lake, I think they've really got a good chance of just basically getting Lone Draw into a strong position where Kaipi won't really have an opportunity to stop them, especially when they've got the team fight power of Clockwork. I mean, you've got Void there, obviously, who can cause quite a bit of a mess with his ult, and then they've got Bane there. They've got some good lockdown, but at the same time, if Clockwork can get in and split the fight up, he can make it very, very difficult for Kaipi to get into a position. Whoa!
That's gonna be fun.
Wow, okay. A Zeus pick, so a big curveball there from KPRTZ.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I've seen this a couple times before, but it has some limited success, some great success. It really depends on really how the early game goes. Starting off, Arteezy is going to be 1v1 versus the Clockwork, so it's definitely going to be a very viable position for him, but it's going to be really interesting to see how effective this is going to be, with a little bit of extra burst damage, with of course Thunder God's Wrath going for global presence, and then as a whole just kind of going for the burst potential, just really incinerating the opposition with some powerful magic damage. Not much disable, but that's what the Bane's there for, that's what the Visage is there for, so hopefully it'll work out for them, because of course it's very interesting to see those dynamic picks. But let's go ahead and go on through the lineups. Do you want to start with Virtus Pro?
Yeah, well, we've got NS playing the Rubik, we've got Illidan playing the Alchemist, Kassan Lone Druid, Smile there, also known as Arsat, on the Lina, and Tame My Wild there on the Clockwork picks.
And yep, we're going to be seeing Bone 7 go on the offlane Darkseer. We're going to be looking at, of course, Arteezy on that Zeus, going for a bottle very early on. Pyrelite Eye is going to be running that Bane, which is pretty common for him. Interesting starting items for Eternal Envy on the Faceless Void, carrying it up with just a Stout Shield, and Tango's probably going to be going for a Poor Man's Shield very early on, if he feels it's comfortable in the laning circumstance. Either way, Come With Me is going to be the final member of Kaipi going up on that Visage, just supporting once again up on that top lane.
Yeah, we're just going to move a pause there, wait for them to sort that out. I am definitely very worried for Kaipi. I mean, I feel like they're going to be a little bit too predictable here. If Virtus Pro do go offensive and try and shut down their bot, I don't think they've got a lot to keep them in this game. I mean, obviously Storm Spirit, it's not the Storm Spirit, obviously the Zeus is definitely quite a bit of a powerhouse once he gets a few levels up there, but I feel like he alone is not really even carry this for them, because it's going to take a little while for Darkseer to get up and running. Obviously, if you can get that fast pipe / mech, he can really keep them in the game there, but I feel like Rubik is going to cause a lot of damage, as well as the Lina. I just don't feel like Kaipi have got enough to keep him, because they're going to be pretty much really reliant on Void being able to show up with his ult there to control these fights, especially in the early game, and I don't think they're going to have, he's not going to be mobile enough to stop the kind of damage that Clockwork is going to inflict on the map.
Yeah, this will definitely be impactful. Like you said, they're probably going to go for this aggressive tri lane. Surprised they're actually making all this movement towards the bot lane for the moment. Maybe expecting possibly Kaipi to go aggressive, but that's pretty much impossible in my mind with the Faceless Void. Even though the Visage is great in try versus try, the Faceless Void wants to get some independent farm, and that means he's going to go on that top lane. So in this position here, it looks like they're dodging the try versus try. They're letting KSI possibly just go and start off in the jungle and guaranteeing the Alchemist some early farm. So right now, now, the Lone Druid, although he's a great offlane hero in general, up against a Bane, he's not going to find that dedicated source of farm. So I don't think that we're going to see too much action coming out from KSI, as he's probably going to relegate himself into just farming up that jungle there with the Quelling Blade and Stout Shield.
It seems like that is going to be their plan there. That said, I suppose, I mean, if they're just going to get, like, this is definitely okay for them. Just sacrificing this top lane. I mean, they're playing a little bit greedy here, but at the same time, they can afford to play greedy because Void does take a little bit of, he does take considerable amount of time to get into the game. It's not like an anti-mage who can completely, anti-mage, even though, you know, he's, you know, so the epitome of a late game hard carry, he can still deal a lot of right-click damage early on, whereas Faceless Void really isn't that fantastic as a damage dealer when it comes to the early mid-game. He doesn't have that huge mana burn, which is really, really painful. That said, though, actually it looks like they might possibly be rotating here for a bit of a smoke gank on mid, and of course, Zeus is definitely quite vulnerable. Meanwhile, though, we do have the Bane swing down the bottom, but here we go, early level 1 gank here on the Zeus. Zeus in a lot of trouble. There's telekinesis into the cogs. Lena's going to follow up with a stun, although a bit of a save there coming out from the Bane. I don't think it's going to be enough to keep him in the game, though. There we go. Easy first blood.
And drop him down. A little bit of right-click damage going the way against Smile, so Arzart will be taking a few hits there. But unfortunately, yeah, the Nightmare is not going to be good enough when they can just bring out a zap of magic damage to wake him on up and bring him on down. Just good movement, good telekinesis, cogs, and really using that smoke gank early on to great effect. And this is why we don't see Zeus as actively in the competitive scene, is because of the fact that he is so gankable. No escapes, relatively low starting strength, and base armor means that he is going to drop down very, very quickly. And despite going for a very economic build, having to TP back to the lane and even buying a second TP here means that his bottle is very, very delayed.
Yeah, it's going to be annoying for him, but he'll get it back in fairly. I mean, it's really hard to stop Zeus from getting a bottle. All he's got to do is spam chain lightning a few times, and here we go. He's already one creep kill away from having that bottle up and running. 2 minutes isn't terrible. I mean, obviously, he would have liked to have it before that. He wanted to go and get that 2-minute rune as well, but at the same time, it's not going to cripple him that badly. But I think the bigger problem is, like you said, he's squishy, he's easy to gank, and the fact is that can just set the pace of the game. I mean, every time these supports on Virtus Pro grab themselves a smoke, they could just go over there and basically jump on Zeus and beat him up, steal his money. So I think he's really going to have to watch out for that. In fact, you see, I think this is going to be a serious issue, the fact that he's not going to be able to free farm as easily. Like, he's going to have to always be really, really scared about that smoke gank. And Bane at the moment looks like he's just going to chill down in this bottom lane here. I think he's just getting ready to stack and just cause some, just get ready for that sort of later in the game. But Blaze, this is what I'm really worried about here. The fact that Lone Druid is getting the farm that he needs at the moment, and the fact Alchemist is getting the farm he needs. The supports, obviously, on Virtus Pro's side are getting a few levels. They're getting experience. And I feel like at about the 20-25 minute mark, we're going to see Virtus Pro launch an all-out assault, and it's going to be something that Kaipi are going to struggle to stop just because Void is not going to be in a position where he can really help. Bane's going to be super on level. See, Bane's still stuck at level 1, and, I mean, even then, Darkseer is not that fantastic that early on either.
Yeah, I mean, there's some back and forth. I mean, pretty much what both teams have kind of decided is we're going to let the enemy get what they want and just focus on ourselves, focus on prioritizing our own personal farm, and that is going to mean that there's some still good things for Kaipi. I mean, Bane getting some early experience from maybe pulls would be really good to get Fiend's Grip out early. Right now, just kind of babysitting on the mid lane, which is comparatively unfavorable, but of course it does mean that kind of Arteezy is secure on the mid. Either way, the big thing here is that top Eternal Envy is, I believe, a Midas. Midas recipe is going to be coming up on that courier there, and the big thing is Eternal Envy went such a conservative build. I talked about those tangos and Stout Shield, and it's because he didn't want to spend more than 340 gold before he started things off to just rush out that Midas, and that will allow him to rubber band back very, very quickly. The 30 attack speed isn't bad at all, with the fact that he's going to go for maxing time lock, and then on top of that, he's going to get tons of gold, tons of experience very early on, and he's only 250 gold shy of that. So although it will take him a little bit more time to come back online, when he does come online, it's going to be immense how much he can put out and how directly he can compete with this Alchemist who comparatively is maxing out that Grieveless Greed.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to whether or not he can essentially come online in time. To see Darkseer now using that double Iron Shell there, just to give Alchemist a bit of grief. Obviously, it's really, really painful to stand anywhere near those Iron Shells, let alone 2 of them. So he is going to get beaten up a little bit by that. But at the same time, no other pressure down here, so he should be okay. Meanwhile, Zeus is just going to check out the bottom rune here. Should be able to pick up that. He may be in a bit of trouble here. Lena coming down on top of him, along with the Ruby. Could get dumped off on a high ground here. No, actually, he's going to walk away in time. Won't get caught out by that, thanks to the ward and the high ground there. Spotting up Lena as well as the Rubik there. But Blaze, I mean, it looks like they're just trying to give Bane a little bit of farm and a little bit of levels now.
Yeah, exactly. They're allowing him to actually jump in and focus on a little bit of, not solo experience necessarily, but at least find a couple kills here and there, because a level 1 Bane isn't all that effective. You're not going to get any damage nuke or healing from the Brain Sap. You're just going to come around and be a walking nightmare, and although that sounds pretty cool when you use that as like a heavy metal band name, I don't think it's going to be very effective in this game, just running around level 1, not really changing the pace of the game. So they want to get him some experience, and along with that, Come With Me is going to be their kind of priority for supportive leveling on up. Visage will be getting his familiars relatively early, and I think that's going to be a big thing. If you look at the levels as a whole, there's been a lot of roaming and movement from the Rubik and the Lina, and that has made it so the Bane has to stay in the lane, has been deprived of levels, but Come With Me has just been farming away, and he's about to hit level 5, and at that point he's going to be comparatively much stronger in his abilities.
Well, we've also got to keep in mind, speaking of the Lina and the Rubik roaming about, they're not essentially roaming, basically not appearing on the map. This is what's got them so. This is what's got Kaipi so worried, and why they're playing conservatively with this Bane, keeping him around to babysit Arteezy. See, Arteezy is hanging all the way back with his Zeus, really worried about being ganked. And at the same time, Darkseer on the bottom lane also playing really scared. Like, he doesn't come anywhere near the creep wave. He doesn't, like, obviously he sends the iron shells out to do a little bit of fun, but he's not really getting experience. And Darkseer is a very level dependent hero. Wants to max out Vacuum, Iron Shell, Surge, wants to get his wall. He's really dependent on those levels going to those mid-game fights. So with Lina and Rubik, sure, they're not getting as much experience themselves, but they've got 3 heroes here playing extremely defensively. So I think in the end, that's a net win for Virtus.pro, who may actually, looks like they're going to be getting themselves a gank up on the top lane here, Blaze.
Yeah, starting off, they have the haste run on the Clockwork, easily closing the distance here on top of the Visage, going for the hook shot just to make sure of it. Cogs as well, all 3 pop. This could be a solo kill, but they have 2 supports to back him up. To go in for the Faceless Void, Eternal Envy pops off that ultimate. There is also the Thunder God's Wrath coming on through. Visage buys back. Are there going to be enough right clicks to bring on Team W? No. Light Striker connects, and that haste speeds the Clockwork away. So there is the attempt to throw 2 ultimates back the other direction. Bane will try to connect with him as well, but instead just nightmaring up the Rubik, setting him up to be dropped down. There's the Grave Chill. There's the transfer of that Nightmare to be able to interrupt it here. Brain Sap and a couple right clicks will come out. There's the Soul Jump to connect, bringing down NS in turn. Lina also taking some hits here. Zeus doing a lot of damage, but dropping down from that Light Strike array. Arteezy shouldn't be able to get in range. Now, that Lightning Bolt just not going to be far enough out to actually bring her down. But they did pick up 1 kill, and they did, of course, keep the Faceless Void alive, but it cost the buyback of Come With Me. So that's going to deprive him of some early potential for Arcane Boots or Mechanism.
I'm going to say that was a beautiful LSA there up onto the high ground. He threw that one blind and managed to hit Zeus, keeping him again. If he didn't hit Zeus, it was a good chance Zeus was just going to keep up the chase and then just drop him with the next Thunder Blast there. So that was definitely a really good shot there from Lina. Got to say, bottom lane, though, again, see Darkseer, he's only just hit level 5, 7.5 minutes in. He's really not doing too well for levels, and it looks like they might actually just jump in. They might actually take a crack at him right now, because we've got Clockwork in the jungle looking for a hook, and of course, Cogs is really going to mess up any chance of surging away to safety. Oh! Misses the hook. Well, there you go. Should be able to walk away from that.
Yeah, Light Striker could be attempted by Arzard. He got the nice Observer Ward up to get some vision up, and now he's actually pinned down. This Light Striker can come on through easily with the battery cell getting a couple easy ticks there, and with the Rocket Flare and a couple right clicks, they actually do bring him down. So, yeah. Honestly, Bone 7 playing extremely cautiously, trying to dodge so hard that he just pinned himself into a corner where he just couldn't get out.
I was just thinking, he's away scot-free, and then he ran into a corner. Oh, man. I was thinking maybe he was thinking about trying to vacuum. He doesn't even have vacuum. The only thing I could think of was he was going to vacuum a pass into the trees and then jump out through the back there. But, yeah, he didn't have vacuum even leveled, so I'm not sure what he was trying to do. I mean, he could have just surged and just belted his way out of there. I don't think there was really any opportunity for Lina to even land a shot. I mean, everybody's probably tried to take a crack at someone who's hasted with Light Striker. It's not something you can really land all that easily at all. He could just hit that surge and got the hell out of dodge. So, I think unfortunately Darkseer, Bone 7, sort of outplaying himself a little bit there, more than anything else.
Yeah, pretty accurate sentiment there. It's pretty much he could have just kept on moving, but unfortunately he tried to mind game it a little bit and be very ambitious in trying to escape, and just going way too deep into it. Now we do see more Midases coming on the field. We have one up on KSI, transferring it over to the Druid himself to make sure he gets the bonus experience, and then Alchemist and Face of Void, of course, have been going at it. We also hear a hookshot connecting on Bone 7. Light Striker will not connect, but the damage from the Battery Assault is there. It's been maxed out, so it does a ton of damage, along with that of Lina, and we do see the Nightmare coming on through. They don't actually connect onto the Clockwork, and with the Thunder God's Wrath waking up Smile, they're all able to kind of walk away here. So not too much going on there. Up on the top line, we do see the Lone Druid now with his unmaxed out Bear, trying to put some pressure out onto Eternal Envy, and that is kind of pretty much the first time this entire game he's been contested, but unfortunately for him, he doesn't have the highest CS count to show for it. 66 isn't bad at all in 9.5 minutes, but compared to the fact that he was up against 0 people this entire game, you'd expect just a little bit more. Either way, right now he's doing pretty good moving in. He's going to have 1,000 gold with this next Midas and could be moving in towards bigger and better items. What do you think is going to be the best early pickup for a Faceless Void at this stage?
I think we're probably going to see him try to get something that can get him into the fight fairly early, so maybe, I mean, he might just go for something quick like an early Mask of Madness in second. Yeah, there we go. He's going for an early Mask of Madness, picked up the Morbid Mask, so he'll be getting that attack speed up as soon as possible. Should, as I mentioned during that last gank down the bottom lane, Virtus Pro nearly lost their courier, nearly gave that away. That would have been a huge boost in cash for Kaipi, especially some of the really, really underfarmed, struggling supports like the Bane. Still level 3, not doing too well there at all. I really dig what Virtus Pro did. I mean, even though Lina and Rubik weren't moving around a lot, they just spent most of their time just farming in the jungle, farming and just getting levels and experience. The fact that they were essentially invisible the entire time has really stuffed up Kaipi. They've had so many heroes now that are currently under-leveled.
Oh, hookshot on the mid lane, connecting onto Arteezy. A lot of battery assault going on through. Even Arc Lightning to do a little bit of damage from the Rubik here. Fade Poke going across. Little blast of lightning everywhere, and they're going to be able to bring him down nicely. TMW playing so aggressive with his Clockwork and can manage it. He picked up a regen rune, so he's going to be back up to snuff, and a minute from now, ready to go for another gank.
Speaking of ganks, we've just seen Kaipi. They have picked up a smoke there. Visage just picked one up. Looks like they're getting ready to try and jump somebody here. I've got to say, though, I mean, this is probably, like you said, why we don't see a lot of Jesus. He's just so easy to pick off, and it's really difficult to keep him alive, especially against heroes like Clockwork, who can just set up a fight whenever and wherever they want. Meanwhile, though, speaking of contesting, it looks like Envy's finally going to be under some pressure as Lone Druid heads to the top lane. He's got to be fairly careful, though. Still no wards up the top lane, so he doesn't really have much idea of what might be waiting in that jungle to try and